Hey, all right, folks, it's me, Gold Pandan. We're in the garage here. We're doing some ore sampling, and I thought we would kind of dive into this a little bit deeper and show you a little bit more how this works. So here, traditionally, if you were to crush your sample up, you would use what's known as a mortar and pestle, or for you Australian folks would be known as a dolly pot. Now you would put your rocks in here, and you take your pestle, and you would pound your rocks just like that. It's very slow, because you got to take that sample and dump it out, sieve it off, and then throw it back in, and repeat the process over and over and over until you finally get a good crush and fine enough crush. And it's very slow and takes a lot of energy, but that's how the old timers did it. So, and that's how I used to do it. And I kind of got a little tired of doing that, so decided to upgrade from that to the rock crusher out there. Stick around till later in the video, and I'll show you there's a little trick to make these mortar and pestles work a lot better and save you a little time and hopefully a little bit of energy. Now, in order for the rock crusher out there to work, you can't just put rocks this size into it. You've got to crush them up into rocks about this size and smaller. So here's our sample. It's kind of a small one that we're going to work through all the way together. It is got quite a bit of sulfides in it. I can show you here. They're quite a few through there. And got some samples here of kind of more quartz looking stuff. Well, it's got more quartz in it, I should say. And that all came off a dump from a mine. And so we're going to work through that and see if there's anything in that. And we'll go through the whole process together. So the first step in processing these ore samples is we're going to run it through our primary crusher here. Now this primary crusher is pretty crude. It was just kind of something I threw together real quick. You've seen it in previous videos. But I'll explain a little bit more how I came about to this insane design. So first, let's start by throwing some rocks in and getting them crushed down. Oh, that one was small enough already. We're going to take this is actually a bolt that came from our mortar and pestle. And we're going to basically do the same thing. We're just going to crush it. So there's our first few pieces through. I'll get these other pieces through and we'll explain this a little more. All right, guys, let's show you this here real quick. So this guy was made originally to sit on top of the impact mill. That's what these little tabs here are for. So I want to show you real quick. Here's the hammer mill and the primary crusher. You can see that was kind of designed to sit on top of there. But the design wasn't very good, so I ended up welding this pipe to the side, and that'll fit right inside of a receiver hitch on a pickup. So you would slide that into the receiver hitch, and that would make this pretty sturdy, and you would break it all down to that. Well, it was wintertime. And so I didn't feel like doing that outside in the cold. So I took some pieces of scrap lumber and threw that together real quick. So here we go. We got her all broken down. You know, some of these are a little bit big, but I'm okay with it because it's such a small sample anyways. And so we'll take that over and run that through the impact mill. All right, we're ready to run the sample through the hammer mill. We're going to fire this up, and I'll let you watch along here. This shouldn't take but probably 30 seconds, and we'll be done running this. And then we'll bring you in and show you the inside. Safety gear. You don't want to breathe the dust, or you're going to get silicosis.
that's it. We'll bring it back.
All right, I thought I'd show you real quick before we tear it apart, kind of the general idea here. We got this discharge. There's a screen behind the discharge. It's an 1/8 inch screen that goes into this tube. And that tube goes into this little bucket that has a lid. So we capture all the material coming out of the discharge into there. And if we look on the side here, we have a little starter switch, which goes to, it's actually an air compressor motor. And then we have a reduction there to take me down. I think it's taken me down to somewhere around 1200 or 1500 RPM. It's been kind of a long time since I built this, which then is obviously driving our hammers. So, and then of course cord back to a 240 outlet. All right, so here's the inside of the hammer mill. It just comes off with 4 bolts through here, and here's our cover plate. You can see there's the screen. I gotta finish cleaning that out yet. But as you can see here, we got the hammers. They swing loosely. So as that comes around, those hammers pick up the material, hit it, and then they get bashed into the walls, and you get this nice fine powder. So you can see how that material kind of dead beds in there. You can see the wear on the hammers here. These are just mild steel. They're nothing special. All this is mild steel. There's nothing special about any of this. Some of these hammers, I think these hammers, I'm going to probably put some hard facing on them and see how that works, see how that goes. And yeah, so that's the inside. There's where the material comes in. It comes in on the back there, and it rotates this way. So as that material drops down, it catches it and pulls it around this way. So you're not shooting rocks back up. Now every now and then a rock will kind of come popping back out, but that's just what happens. Now I'll just use a paintbrush, kind of sweep it out into the bucket there. I'll hold the bucket up to the bottom, and we'll sweep that out in there, and we'll sweep up in here and get this all cleaned out good. And we'll sweep pretty much anywhere I can in here, every nook and cranny. And then at the end, we take the air compressor and we blow it out really, really good until there's almost no dust coming out. And then that kind of helps me ensure that I'm not cross-contaminating from one sample to the next. And we blow the brush out too, because you never know, it could get caught in the bristles. So let's get this cleaned out, get her panned up, and see if there's any gold. All right, so here's our sample all crushed down. You can see here we got that down pretty good. There's still some little bigger chunks in there, but that amount of grind is all the better I'm going for. If the gold's any smaller than that and I can't capture it real easily, then I guess I don't know. But we only have an 1/8 inch screen on that hammer mill anyway, so it doesn't surprise me we get a few bigger pieces through. Let's go pan this out. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and add our jet dry. A couple dabbles, and let's get them panned out. Now this is our last sample we're running for this video. It should be about 7 or 8 or 9, I'm not really sure now. Been working on this for the last about month and a half. And we got a lot more samples we're gonna run. That'll be later. I just wanted to at least kind of show you all my crushing equipment and the ideas behind it all. So let's get this one panned out and hope there's gold. Now I know a few of you might be getting a little tired of seeing nothing but metal detecting videos. So we're gonna have some more panning and sluicing videos here. Now that spring's coming around, we got spring finally hitting, and creeks are thawing and the ground's thawing. So we're gonna be able to get out in the creeks and do some panning, sluicing, and show you some of that stuff. So it's not just gonna be metal detecting videos and a hard rock video that I hardly find any gold in every once in a while. Now when it comes to panning this kind of material, you gotta go a little slower. Everything's finer. You obviously want to run your fingers through it. Make sure you get it all wetted. If you have dry clumps in there, it's gonna mess up your panning. So we're just gonna work this real slow. We'll get her panned out here. Now we're gonna stop right there and we're gonna move over to this tub. Now I'm gonna take some of that nice clean water and do a nice little shake. I'm gonna take that dirty water, pour it off the top, and then we're gonna move over here and finish panning. Now there's maybe about 1.5 pounds worth of material that we crushed, so it wasn't very much. That being said, we can still hope there's some good gold in here. Alright, we're starting to get down. I just kind of want to see what this material looks like. This is all full of sulfides. We're going to have to really slow down here now. We're just going to tap. We're going to do a bunch of tapping. And get some of the lighter material to slowly walk down while the heavier material walks up. So as we can see here, there's all this kind of silver looking material. That's all sulfides. Now what sulfides is it's like a pyrite. It's iron and sulfur that make a compound called pyrite. And that's not gold. Now there could be gold mixed into them sulfides. And what we would have to do is either roast it and then try to pan it. Roast it, grind it, and then try to pan it, I should say. Or try to roast it and smelt it. Or there's even a kind of different direct smelting method. Any of those methods, I'm not really set up to do that. I could roast it and pan it. I'm just not really that interested in doing that right now. At least not with this sample. I got some other samples I might do that on. I got a big pan of pyrites over there that came from a source that does have some free milling gold in it as well. And so there was no free milling gold in here. I panned it back 4 or 5 different times, worked it down and panned it back 4 or 5 different times and couldn't find anything. So I think we're just going to take this sample and toss it and move on with our next project. All right, here we got the FC mine. This was kind of a brecciated mine, or brecciated zone on this mine. They drove an adit, short adit into it. There were some open pits and stuff that were on it. About 10 years ago, I went into the adit and pulled some samples, and I think the first sample I pulled showed a few specks of gold, so I went back and pulled some more. I pulled this sample and a red pocket sample that will show after this, and I thought maybe the red pocket sample was a high-grade sample, so we'll see what that one holds. But we're going to pan this one out. It's about 3 pounds. Here you can see the ore. Like I said, it's just a really kind of brecciated, broken up and re-solidified. Well, somewhat solidified. It's pretty soft vein. And we'll see what's all in that. So, catch you back when I got her all panned down. Let's take a look and see what we got. Now, I am I'm seeing maybe a dozen microdots. I'm not 100% for sure. It's hard to tell even through my 10x loop. I don't even know if I'll put them under the microscope. It's going to be too hard to see. But there's maybe 12 little tiny specks. So I think we're going to mark this one as a trace. And you know, maybe someday we'll go back to it if I get bored and maybe poke around there some more. But I think for now we're going to move on to the next sample and see what that one's got. All right, here guys, here is a sample from the FC mine. And this came out of that brecciated zone as well, but there was kind of a red pocket that we considered kind of a high grade zone. And it had a little bit more quartz in it. Here's some of that. Pretty nice looking quartz, and it was nice and red looking stuff. So we got about 4.5 pounds there. So we're gonna go ahead and pan this out and see what we got in it. Nothing in this sample. I guess we'll try the next one. All right, got another sample here. This one's from the dropped hammer mine. And if you can guess, I dropped my hammer down the shaft there. So if you ever come across a rock hammer in the bottom of a shaft, well, that just might be from this place. So let's pan out and see if there's anything in it. Well, there's nothing in that sample either. well, I guess we'll keep looking for more. This one was kind of in the area of some other little mines that kind of made some rich pockets. So a few little quartz stringers at this shaft that I took a sample from, and nothing in it. So we're going to move on to the next sample. All right, this next sample we got here, this one is from a road cut in an area that's got a lot of placer gold and no lode mines. So I thought, well, we'd give this road cut a look. Quartz vein looks decent. So I think we're just gonna pan it down in this pan, and when I get it down a ways, we'll put it in my littler pan that I like to use a little bit better. And I suppose I should get a weight on this. So let's take it over here and get a weight. It's about 7 pounds, you know, minus the pan, so it's just a little under 7 pounds. We're not going for real exact numbers on that. So we'll pan it down and see what's in it. All right, guys, we got a little bit of gold in here. There's maybe 30 or 40 little tiny specks in there. Took me a while to get her pan down, but you know, I'm for sure seeing it in the loop. So we're gonna try to get under the microscope and see if we can see anything. All right, this sample here is about 6.5 pounds, and it comes from a place we're going to call the M&M mine. And below this mine, there's a gulch, and the gulch is dug out really well. The gulch there is really dug out, and up on the hillside, there's some diggings. There's a couple shafts and a bunch of trenches. I think they're trying to intersect the vein structure. The shafts themselves aren't very deep. What you can see on the surface, they're only maybe 10 or 20 feet deep. I think they're collapsed based off of the dump size. I would indicate that they're probably at least 50 feet or maybe even close to 100 feet deep. But I'm not sure. Like I said, they're collapsed maybe 10 feet down, and I'm not obviously crawling down in there. So we're going to process this one, like I said, and see what we get. So here's what some of that quartz looks like from the M&M mine. And it's pretty mineralized looking. You got some nice sulfided out pockets through there, hematite pockets and whatnot. So, well, this is getting to be a little bit disappointing. That was another sample without any gold in it. That was from the M&M mine, and unfortunately, just nothing in that. Now, we did find gold down in that gulch below the shafts. So either they weren't on the gold on the shafts, or what they left behind didn't have anything in it. There were a couple reports of there from some real rich gold, and so my hopes were pretty high, but alas, there's nothing in it, at least not in what I grabbed. So there's got some more work to do up there. I got to take a pan up there once and do some panning and some sampling that way. The only sampling I've done there is with the metal detector, and we found a couple real small pieces. So we know there's gold there, and just got to maybe hone in on it a little better. As promised, I'm going to show you the trick for making your mortar and pestle work better. I got a little piece of quartz here I'm going to throw in. Now the trick to this is to put it on about a 45-degree angle, and you're going to drill a bunch of little holes in the bottom here. So as you're crushing it, the material falls out the bottom. You see that coming out there? So instead of your material getting stuck in the bottom, it'll just come right out the holes. Now, if it does get plugged up, the way I designed this one is this is on a pivot. I pull this pin out, I grab my pan, kick the bucket out of the way, and you can just dump it right over. And your material comes right out, and you can take the oversize and put it back in and do it again. This will save you a lot of time and a lot of headache. Show you a little closer here, the material coming out. Hands are a little shaky. There's that material coming out. So there you can see all the holes that I drilled. Now what I would suggest you do is drill more holes than what I have here, because I didn't drill enough holes. And just design it to go on a 45. You don't need to put all these extra holes. I didn't know what degree I wanted to put it at. So at least a 45. And I designed mine to go into the pitch receiver on this pickup, so that way I can use it out in the field when I'm out in the field. Now you can design yours to just be on a stand, or however you want. But that's my suggestion to you. Drill some holes, put it on an angle, and it'll work a lot better. All right, I want to show you guys here some of these samples we got to run yet. These ones I know where they've come from. And so we're going to run through those in the next video, along with finishing out the video. So I'm going to run all of those here over the next probably month or two. And then I also have these samples over here. I don't know where any of these came from because I forgot to mark them. So there's a little lesson for you today. Don't forget to mark where your samples come from, or you're going to forget. So I'm not sure what we're going to do with these samples yet. Leave a comment below if you think we should run them. I'm not going to run them right now, obviously, because I still have these to run, because I know where these came from. Well, folks, that's going to do it for this video. Wasn't much for gold to see in that, but hey, that's prospecting for you. You're not always guaranteed gold. A lot of those samples were from a long time ago. I had taken, didn't really know what I was doing at the time, which was pretty obvious, and I'm still learning. We got the gold from our visit to the Mine M. We also got just that little trace of gold that we got on a couple of those other samples that are in here. When I process through the rest of those samples, if there's any gold in those, we'll put that in here too. And at the end of that, we're going to take the tiny bit of gold that's in here and try to make a little gold bead. We're going to try melting that down and see what we can do with that. So you're going to want to stick around for that video. Hopefully we find some more gold, otherwise it's going to be a pretty tiny BB. But until next time, folks, I'm Gold Pan Dan, telling you to keep your bits sharp. Take care now.